Alright, here we go. Welcome to level 2. This installment covers my first American football game as a college student, as well as some funny...
You killed them!
You killed Kaz and Dean! No! And you killed Sam too!
I didn't kill them. They're alive.
Scary, and serious moments. We got a lot to talk about, which hopefully we'll be covering. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the lightning and rain. There is lightning and thunder outside. Scared the crap out of me because I had to drive in it. There was a threat of a hurricane towards the beginning of this week, and we were unsure about whether or not we were going to be having classes and whether or not our campus would shut down. It didn't, and so for that reason I had to run to my car at 8 o'clock at night with about 30,000 strikes of lightning happening every hour. This is beyond insane right now. That's why my first advice for you is check the weather before you leave. If there's a hurricane outside, maybe it's not the best idea to leave without an umbrella at least. Or try to park your car in the parking lot the day before so that you can try to avoid as much soaking as possible. Because parking spots are hard to find in my campus because it's so big, I parked my car in the parking lot the day before my class so that way I had a parking spot there for me in the event of such a heavy downpour. I was none too happy about it. I love rain, but really, right now? The storm did die down after a while though, so I got back okay. There was a funny moment that happened this week that I can turn into a teachable one. When my roommates and I all watched High School Musical together in my dorm. It was a fun experience until Annalise decided to start dancing on the bed. In her defense, I think it was all our faults. So my advice for that would be don't jump on the bed. I got yelled about that from my parents. It was not our best idea. So that is why I'm saying please don't jump on the bed. While it was absolutely hilarious for all parties involved, she really could have gotten hurt. If you haven't noticed already, a lot of what I say is probably common sense, even though for some reason I don't think it is sometimes, and I do that stuff by accident anyway. We still gotta write stuff down and figure stuff out, even if it may seem like common sense, because sometimes our brains don't think for us. Now to the real meat of this level. The first college American football game. We're here waiting for our knights to show up. We're waiting for the marching band to come. Tailgating! There was a little bit of tailgating in my university. But my campus is what is called a dry campus, which means that no alcohol is allowed on school grounds whatsoever at any given time. Now that's pretty straightforward except for game days. And that is the one day that the alcohol rule is lifted. I didn't really stay a lot for tailgating because it was geared more towards those that are of age. It just wasn't really my scene. Cut to that, about 3 hours in, we actually get to sit down at our first American football game. On top of the fact that we have a campus of 60,000 kids, and it was the first game of our season, and it was home, and it was a big deal. There was a sheer amount of student involvement in the stands, and to hear the noise that just a fraction of the students make is terrifying. The bleachers are still shaking. Because of the fact that there are so many students that are very spirited during the games, the engineers at my school had to reinforce the stadium walls on the student section to prevent any stadium destruction from happening. Oh my god! I'm pretty sure this is how The Walking Dead starts. Kudos to the engineers for doing that and not killing us in the process. So every university has these game traditions. For my university, they had some campus traditions I was not aware of and I didn't know existed. So I had no clue what was going on most of the time until halfway through the game when I could more or less figure stuff out. One of the events was that when we had a third down, a sound would play and everyone would hold up their hands like a little okay sign to show either one team had third down or our team had third down. That part I never actually figured out. There was also a moment in where our mascot shakes a pair of cardboard keys, which I guess is a signal to our section to start getting our car keys and start shaking them. I never exactly figured out why. Finally got back from the football game. We lost by 1 point. The game itself was fun, but there was a lot of people. You gotta get ready. Normal section. Student section. Normal section. Student section. I did not know many of the traditions. I'm that person that doesn't quite understand American football. I've had the game explained to me and I more vaguely understand it. I watched the marching band and the wave of people in the arena. Marching band was amazing. We got to see their routine, halftime routine, as well as their routine while they were up in the stands. But poor little Sierra could not be in the actual routine on the field. Game day was still pretty fun despite me not knowing a lot, and I still had class in the morning, even though they canceled afternoon classes for the game. I just came back from my leadership class, which is roughly an hour and a half long, from 9:30 to 11:30, maybe 2 hours. I can't do math, it's too early. We got to talking about values and the difference between a value and a feeling. And I talked about values being one of the core subjects, or if not the most important thing that you should ever have. And at first you think about it and you're like, what about happiness, money for some people? Yes, they're all important, but if you don't have values to back those up, then you won't really have happiness. You won't really have a family that supports you. You'll have just a feeling of it. In just the 2 classes that I've had, I've learned a lot more about what constitutes a leader and what I want to keep in this world than any of the past learning experiences I've ever had. Sure, I've done community service, sure, I've done volunteer hours, and I've led a couple of projects, but it's a sense of what have I gained and what have I left behind for others. So that got me thinking about, these videos. I'm doing these videos because I want others to learn from my experiences. For college, for people that are going into college, college is what you make of it. It's not that woohoo party school kind of feel. It's not that 100 hours of studying. It's what you make of it. If you are going to be living a life full of feelings, you feel like underage drinking, you feel like driving under the influence, more often than not, you're either not going to remember those instances or you're going to have bad recollections of them. But if you value honesty, if you value keeping yourself healthy, if you value trust, these are things that are going to help you live and have a better life in general. Having these values and having the ability to understand yourself as a person is something that is very monumental, and not everyone, myself included, know 100% about, because we are constantly learning more and more about ourselves. This leadership class, I think, is something I'm going to be talking about a lot, and something that I might bring up every once in a while just to talk about the things that I have learned and talk about the instances that I've seen. I wanted to include that to give you guys some food for thought and to share a little bit about what I've learned thus far. It's only been 2 weeks, so there's still a lot for me to learn. As we are winding down with this level and nearing the finish line, I did want to end on a funny note. I asked a friend of mine, she sent me this in this little segment that I will now be calling Yasmin's Yell. What she says in it is meant to be funny and more or less her way of ranting. And it brings another point of view of a friend's version of college as well. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Quick rant, this really gets on my nerves, but them girls that go to the gym just to look cute, like they don't do anything, they just stand there. So many other places you could go just to look cute. Just go to the mall. You're bothering me. Really gets my wheels turning. When they take the equipment that I will actually use and that I need, but they just stand on. As the people who are next to you on the treadmill, but they gotta be nosy. They gotta check if you're going 5.3 miles per hour or if you're on incline. Like, focus on yourself. And then there's the flexers. The people, the guys typically that are like flexing their muscles. Nobody cares. Finally, the people that try to have a conversation and try to make themselves relevant. No, you're not relevant. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to run. I'm supposed to have a conversation when I can't even breathe. I'm like, hi. Like, what? Doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, like, it just makes me, oh.
Yasmin, you are a gem, and thank you so much for sending that. It was very funny. Well, on that note, thanks for playing today. I hope you learned a bit and enjoyed my little vlog from this week. As always, if you want to send me some comments or feedback, or if you guys just want to talk to me and see if there's something that you want me to talk about for next time, don't be shy to drop a comment in the comment section or tweet me at @anagrams. I don't know what next week will hold, but I am working on a transition to college video because I know that that has been requested already, so keep an eye out for that. But I'll see you next week, and we'll go from there. Ciao.